Hey everyone, Sarah here, and welcome to today's Explainer. Look, we're tackling a massive systemic issue today, one that is quietly draining resources from businesses literally everywhere. We're unpacking a really fascinating breakdown from silvercore.io called Speed Wins. So let me ask you, are you frustrated because your follow-up system is just bleeding the paid leads you worked so hard to get? The usual instinct is to tell your team to just hustle more, grind it out. But the data, it shows that working harder is absolutely not the fix. It's actually about exactly when you work. So let's dive right in.
So why exactly are those leads you paid good money for just disappearing? I mean, it is the million-dollar question, right? You're investing heavily in marketing, the leads actually come in, your team puts in the sweat equity, but then that conversion rate just drops off a cliff. Well, here's the thing. The gap between a lead that converts and one that completely ghosts you, it's rarely about your product being bad. It's mechanical. It's all about timing. We've got to take a really hard look at the glaring gaps in our response systems. And that brings us to what is arguably the most critical window in modern sales: 5 minutes. Research clearly, definitively shows that this right here is the golden window. If your team can manage to contact a lead within 5 minutes of them taking a high-intent action, like filling out a form on your site or requesting a brochure, the outcome changes drastically. Seriously, the drop-off if you miss this window is just staggering. Waiting just 30 minutes, which, let's be honest, sounds pretty darn fast in a normal business setting, absolutely kills your chances. The psychological readiness of that buyer just evaporates. They've already moved on, clicked to another tab, or honestly just gotten distracted by life.
The sheer scale of the penalty for being late, it's mind-blowing. 21 times. Leads are 21 times more likely to qualify when you reach them within that 5-minute window compared to waiting just half an hour. That is a massive, massive multiplier. Just think about that for a second. We're not talking double, we're not talking triple. It is a 21-fold increase in your qualification rate just by shifting the speed of your response. So you don't necessarily need more leads. You just need a system that actually captures the ones you have while they are in that 21x multiplier zone.
But, okay, here is the real shocking reality check. While we know the golden window is 5 minutes, data shows that the average business in 2026 takes a staggering 47 hours to respond to a new lead. 47 hours! That's almost 2 full days. Imagine the total disconnect there. The prospect is highly motivated. They're basically raising their hands saying, hey, I need help right now. And the business waits almost 48 hours to finally stroll in and say, hi, how can we help? By then, the urgency is entirely gone. Or worse, they've already bought from someone else.
And exactly where do you think they're solving that problem? Well, 78% of buyers purchase from the company that responds first. Let me just repeat that because it completely upends how we usually think about sales. 78%, they frequently disregard who might be objectively the best or the cheapest option out there. The modern consumer values speed and convenience above almost everything else. If you win the race to 5 minutes, you win nearly 8 out of 10 times. In this game, being second is practically the exact same as not showing up at all. So why is there this massive, gaping chasm between the 5-minute ideal and the 47-hour reality? Well, it really all boils down to this quote right here. Manual follow-up is a hope, not a strategy. If your business relies on manual tracking, like literally having a human being staring at a spreadsheet or constantly refreshing an inbox to figure out who to call and when, you are operating on a fundamentally flawed approach. It is rooted entirely in hope. You're just hoping someone checks the list in time. You're hoping they happen to notice the new inquiry. And in today's ultra-fast-paced environment, hope simply cannot compete with hard data. Let's break down exactly why this manual approach just completely collapses under pressure. We call it the manual trap. First off, it depends entirely on human memory, someone actively remembering to log in and check those inquiry lists. Second, it aggressively clashes with the actual reality of a coordinator's daily life. Your sales staff are busy people. Their days are packed back to back with facility tours, deep conversations, family meetings. They literally cannot just sit at their desk refreshing their email every 5 minutes. And third, it forces them to guess which leads are actually warm, which usually results in them just calling down a list chronologically. And let me tell you, that is horribly inefficient. Because, think about it, while your coordinator is busy running a tour or sitting in a long meeting, your prospects are actually out there taking action. But in a manual system, these actions are what we call invisible buying signals. Your prospects are out there exhibiting real digital body language. They are practically shouting from the rooftops that they're interested. But because there isn't a human physically watching them do it in real time, the manual system completely misses the whole event. So the lead goes cold, but not because they lost interest. They go cold simply because you were blind to their interest.
Okay, so what do these invisible signals actually look like in the real world? Well, it's things like a prospect returning to your website at, say, 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. It's someone reading your pricing page for a second or third time, which, by the way, is a massive indicator of high intent. Or maybe they're hovering on staff bios to see who they might be interacting with. These are highly specific behavioral signals. But again, if you rely on manual follow-up, your team is fast asleep at 11 p.m. You won't even know this happened, let alone be able to respond to it in the moment.
And this is exactly where the entire paradigm shifts. Enter behavior-triggered automation. By definition, this is a system that actively monitors what prospects actually do in the digital space and then automatically fires off highly specific messages at the exact moments those behaviors signal readiness. It essentially bridges that huge gap between digital intent and immediate action. Think of it like this. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't get stuck in traffic, and it never ever forgets to check the list. It just sits there, quietly watching for those buying signals and acts on them instantly. To really grasp the real-time speed of this thing, just imagine a timeline. At 0 seconds, a prospect submits a form. Within 60 seconds, well inside that 5-minute golden window we talked about, a personalized text is automatically fired off right to their phone. Boom, engagement is immediate. But it's also incredibly smart on the back end. Let's say there is a 14-day period of absolute silence from a previously engaged lead. The system recognizes that and automatically triggers a carefully crafted re-engagement sequence, so it manages the immediate urgency and the long-term nurturing entirely on its own.
Here's another super cool example of how intelligently this system matches the message to the behavior. Imagine a prospect who has been totally quiet for a month suddenly makes a return visit to your pricing page. The system recognizes this specific behavior and instantly sends an automated message about costs, maybe offering a helpful budgeting guide. You aren't just fast, you are hyper-relevant. It honestly makes the prospect feel like you are reading their mind.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. A really common worry is, wait, does this replace my human sales team? And the answer is absolutely not. The crucial point here is synergy. The automation handles the relentless cadence of follow-up and monitors all those digital signals, basically the robotic work. Your coordinator then steps in to navigate the complex, nuanced human conversations and actually close those warmest leads. It takes the tedious, busy work right off her plate so she can focus on what she does best, building real relationships. Because of this awesome synergy, the daily life of your coordinator completely transforms. Instead of coming in, grabbing coffee, and immediately stressing over a massive, disorganized spreadsheet, she now gets a crystal clear picture every single morning. The automation has essentially spent the whole night prioritizing her list based on actual prospect behavior. She sits down, looks at her screen, and sees exactly who is the absolute warmest, what they were just looking at, and exactly when she needs to pick up the phone to call them. It takes all the stressful guesswork right out of her day.
So, what is the ultimate payoff for implementing a system like this? Honestly, the numbers are pretty incredible. Adding this automated layer outperforms traditional manual follow-up by 20 to 40% in lead-to-tour conversions. 20 to 40%! And the best part? You don't have to spend a single dollar more on marketing or advertising to see this lift. You're simply capturing the 20 to 40% of leads that were previously just slipping through the giant cracks of your manual process. That is a massive boost to your bottom line, achieved purely through systemic efficiency. But I do need to issue a pretty stark warning here. While you are sitting there thinking about this, your competitors are likely already acting. The families and prospects that are converting to your competitors right now are in many cases converting simply because those competitors already have this automated layer in place and you don't yet. Remember that 78% rule from earlier? Your competitors are getting to them in the first 5 minutes while you are still waiting for your coordinator to finish a meeting. They're flat out winning on speed. The good news? You can completely change this dynamic. The Silvercore.io research we've been unpacking today suggests that identifying your missed signals is step 1. And they actually offer a way to see the specific leads in your current pipeline that aren't getting the right follow-up. You can hop over to their site to book a call or watch a demo to see this behavior-triggered automation in action. Let me tell you, it is seriously eye-opening to realize just how much digital body language is happening right under your nose. As we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own sales process right now and ask yourself, Are you losing to competitors because you are just too slow to respond? Or is it simply because your pipeline's high-intent signals are completely invisible to you? Remember, manual follow-up is a hope. It's not a strategy. It's time to stop hoping and start automating for speed. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I highly encourage you to go investigate those invisible signals in your own business. See you next time.